Please congratulate our second Faculty Hall of Fame inductee, Ernie Gulner. Ernie is a distinguished teacher whose career is defined by a powerful commitment to student-centered excellence. His genuine passion for literature and the next level ability to connect with students enabled him to make a difference in the lives of so many students at Minnetonka High School. Introducing Ernie is Tim Session from the class of 1985.
It is an honor that has never crossed my mind in that what I was doing was what I loved. And for the most part, I truly loved 99% of my students. That was what Ernie Gulner emailed me when I told him that I was going to nominate him for the Minnetonka Schools Teachers Wall of Fame. He said he had no chance of being selected because he had too many conflicts with administrators over the years that would come back to haunt him. He stood up for his students and thought he would be passed over because he didn't always play the game. I told him he was wrong, and I was going to prove it. My name is Tim Session, Minnetonka class of 1985, and it is truly my honor to introduce Ernie Gulner as the newest member of the Minnetonka Teacher Wall of Fame. It's so well deserved. Rather than sharing my own thoughts as I introduce him, I'll use the words of fellow Minnetonka alumni to share their thoughts on how Mr. Gulner impacted their lives and why they still remember him fondly after all these years. There are three areas of his influence that I would like to briefly touch on before you hear from him. I think those three areas speak well to how he influenced his students in his time at Minnetonka. The obvious role that Mr. Gulner played in our lives was that of a teacher. His job was to teach content, to inspire us, to spark our interest in English, literature, poetry, speech, and drama. He was the best at it. Former students described him as amazing, passionate, and authentic. They wrote that he taught content, but also skills for life. He made good communicators and writers, helping students in their academic careers later in life. He fostered critical thinking and forced his students to face their fears. He helped us to become passionate about what he taught. It wasn't always sunshine and roses, though, and Mr. Gulner could be very demanding as a teacher. His classes were never easy, and they challenged us to be our best. Many students recalled that clearly. One alum appreciated that he refused to accept mediocrity, setting a high standard that was tough to meet. He pushed his students out of their comfort zones and always had a rigorous workload. His style could stress his students at times, and not all of them met his challenges. He demanded excellence from all and gave us the tools to be successful. One classmate of mine said it best, remembering how he kicked our butts when we needed it and pushed us to be our very best every day. The biggest impact he had, however, was how he influenced our lives outside of the academic arena. For most teachers, it's easy to teach content, to impart knowledge on their students. For the great ones, it's not the content that they teach that matters, but the influence that they have in the lives of their students. This is where Mr. Gulner separated himself from many of the other teachers we had in our Minnetonka classes. One classmate shared, Mr. Gulner was tough, but he was caring as well. I remember his reaction when I told him my parents were divorcing. I could see the concern in his eyes. I still feel that he followed our classes to the high school because he was concerned for us. Mr. Gulner stood out in my mind as being a tough but loving taskmaster. The final thought that Mr. Gulner shared with me as he set himself up for the rejection and not making it to the Wall of Fame was this: I may not have taught all my students the nuances of literature, but I hope I was able to instill some life lessons that have come in handy or caused some thought and conversation. That's reward enough. No, that's not enough. You deserve to be recognized, and tonight you will be. Congratulations from all of us.
Before I begin, you young people are talking about, you can't believe it's 30 years. I'm starting to, I should have brought my walker, I'm telling you. Thank you, Jeff, and good morning. During my tenure at Minnetonka, I had the chance to teach a class called Introduction to Speech. And one thing I stressed to all of my classes was that you had to follow 3 rules. Be sincere, be short, and be seated. One of my students who listened and smiled, I didn't see anything humorous about it, but I looked and said, John, what's so funny? Gulner, your class is full of BS. He was right. As I was writing this, I had no problem with the being sincere part. I will have no problem with the being seated part. But the be short, not so much. This morning, I'll try to put into words and practice that which I expected of my students. You know, after teaching English for so many years, I'm hard-pressed to find the words to show you and tell you how honored I am. I would like to express my heartfelt thanks to Tim Senchen for the nomination and the Minnetonka Alumni Association for the nomination. Tim, I still have to smile at the rationale you gave me for your nomination. It's one of those things where a light bulb went on his head. I can't tell you why, I can't tell you how, because it's not proper, but I have to smile at it. It is with great humility that I recognize this. The accomplishment isn't mine alone. It represents the support, it represents the encouragement, and the collaboration of many individuals. The journey has been filled with challenges, triumphs, joys, sorrows. And along the way, I've learned a great deal. I was able not only to go professionally, but more important, and I thank all of you, personally. Every lesson plan prepared, every day in the classroom brought me to this moment. And for that, I am truly grateful. It's often been said that a good teacher makes all the difference in the life of a student. Now, I'm sure this will come as a surprise to some of you, but I disagree with that. I truly believe that it's the students who can make the difference in the life of a teacher, a difference that all of you have made in mind. I want to thank my wife, Martha, who could not be with us today, who encouraged me to pursue a teaching career, and to this day serves as my greatest mentor and model. And for those of you who think you're old, this coming year will be our 52nd anniversary. To my colleagues, to my mentors, especially Brian Helene, Bill Chisholm, and Doc, I don't know if you saw or not, but there was a little wave of air that went through when you called him Willie. I cannot forget the others, Lynn Cravey, Paula Christ, Randy Nelson. They were the ones who inspired me to push boundaries, to strive for excellence, and yes, try to maintain some form of patience. And although this will come as a contradiction to many of you, I feel it an honor to be able to thank Dr. Dreyer, Dr. Lovett, and Dr. Peterson, whom I cannot thank enough for all the backing, support, head shaking, and the freedom that they allowed me to have in my classroom. I hope that by being recognized today serves as a reminder that it's okay to take chances, and at times, go against the flow. That it's imperative to treat all students with respect, even though, for those of you who teach, you know that on some days that's difficult. And that if given that respect, the students will rise to one's expectations if the feeling is mutual. As I found over the years, all students have the potential to succeed in their own way. I found that once one earned their respect, one could push them to work hard, expecting and accepting only the best. And I must admit, very rarely was I disappointed. In closing, please know that my time in the classroom was not a career. It was a privilege. And reflecting on today, I have come to understand that the legacy we create comes not from recognition, but hopefully from the positive difference you can make in the world. Thank you for that opportunity. And thank you for this incredible honor.